Today I'm going to show you how to make these delicious lamb chops with a quick and tasty pan sauce. First, you'll start off by searing your seasoned lamb chops in a preheated skillet over medium-high heat for about 4 to 5 minutes aside. This is where you want to practice patience. Don't get to flipping and moving the meat around in the pan. Just let it do what it do. After that, you have to hold the rack up to get the front, bottom, or whatever you want to call it seared. You might be able to prop the rack up depending on the type of pan you use. If not, holding it up for a few minutes won't hurt you. The goal here is to get that beautiful crust on the outside of the rack to help lock in the juice. This step is important and is going to help you achieve that beautiful restaurant quality medium internal temperature that you know I love. Now go ahead, finish the searing process on the final side. Once again, be patient. You're almost there. Let that rack do what it do. By now, your oven should be preheated to 350 degrees. If you're not using the oven-safe skillet, you have to transfer the rack to a foil or parchment-lined sheet tray. Now go ahead and put that rack in the oven to finish the cooking process. Be sure to save the grease in the pan when you pull the rack of lamb out of the oven to rest. You'll need it for your sauce. Set your timer for 15 minutes. And while that's in the oven cooking, we'll get started on a pan sauce prep. You need a medium-sized red onion. And you're going to carefully cut the top part off, leaving the root end intact. Then, still being careful, cut the onion in half. Score the outer layer of the onion and peel the skin off. Do not throw the onion skins away. Because like I always say, one man's trash is another man's treasure in the kitchen, unless it's just bad product. Like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel for other ways to use your onion skins or scraps. Once you have the onion peeled, working at angles, cut the onion into equally sized slices, not cutting through the root end. Be careful by keeping your fingers out of the way of the knife's blade. Now you're going to turn the onion and continue to cut into small dice. Now at this point, you might notice that some pieces are larger than others, and that's okay. Just go back and cut them down to size. Now, you don't have to go all the way to the root end, but from time to time, I do. Sometimes I use that root end for stock, and if I don't have a need for stock at the moment, I'll just go ahead and cut it down to size. You want to have pieces that are close in size for the integrity of the sauce. You don't want to have a sauce with super large chunks and then some small pieces. Return the skillet with the rendered fat from the lamb rack back to the stove over medium heat. And you know you're in business once that grease is moving like water. Be careful when adding the onions to the skillet. I can tell you from experience, grease burns are not fun. Shake the pan to move the onions around to coat with the fat from the lamb. Cook these onions until they're slightly caramelized. You want to cook them about 5 to 6 minutes before moving to the next step. Then you'll take your Welch's sparkling red grape juice and deglaze your pan with about a half cup of it. Allow this to cook together for about a minute or two. Then scrape all of the tidbits from the pan. The tidbits are what looks burned at the bottom of the pan to the untrained eye, but truth be told, and all the professionals know, that the tidbits packs a big, bold flavor, as long as you didn't cook them too much and they weren't burned. Now, let's cook this until it slightly thickens and reduces by a little over half. After it's reduced, add about a half cup of roasted chicken stock. That video will also be on my YouTube channel. So just go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Then bring this back to a rolling bubble until it's slightly reduced again by half. This sauce process of cooking down and adding in ingredients at different stages is called layering flavors. One of the keys to those mouth-watering dishes that everybody always talks about. Add in a 1/3 cup of heavy cream. Then carefully shake the pan to mix it into the reduced mixture. With the pan still over medium-high heat, bring that sauce back to a rolling bubble to reduce and thicken. Season the sauce with a little salt and pepper. You don't want to go too hard with the seasoning because as it reduces, it intensifies, and that could easily become too salty. And the rule of thumb is you can always add more, but you can't take it away. Continue to cook the sauce until it is reduced and thickened to a nice saucy consistency. Turn the heat off, then Monte Beurre. Monte Beurre is a process of emulsifying cold butter into a sauce to give it a beautiful richness and a nice glossy look. Trust me when I say this, it gives that sauce that you just want in the sauce. The heat is off, but because I'm using an electric stove, it takes a little bit of time to actually cool down, and that's okay because I don't want the sauce to be too cool after I cut the lamb. With the pan off the heat, continue stirring the butter into the sauce. This is where you want to be gentle with the heat because too much heat during this process can ultimately break the sauce, separating the fat from the solids. If that happens, stir in an ice cube and it should help you restore your sauce. Now, this sauce should look thick enough to coat the back of a wood spoon. Test it by pulling a clean finger through the sauce on the spoon. It should not run at that point. Now that we have the sauce right, let's cut the rest of the lamb chops. I hold the rack upright, looking down on the bones, and that helps me to get the cuts right on these chops without all of the guesswork. When it comes to cooked meat proteins, there's a natural resting period to preserve the integrity. In this case, I'll let this rack rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. And by not rushing the process, you reduce the chances of losing juices from the rack when you cut it. As you can see from the color of these chops, they have reached a perfect medium internal temperature. Now you know I like that. Since we got these chops cut, now for my favorite part, the time we get saucy. I turn the heat on to medium for a quick minute just to bring the sauce back up to temp. Because who likes a cold sauce on beautiful lamb chops? And if you do, that's fine. Just don't invite me to your barbecue. And voila, there you have it. Delicious lamb chops with a quick and tasty pan sauce. Like and follow for more lip-smacking recipes from Ricky the Chef, the Kitchen Renegade. And remember that love is the secret ingredient that feeds the soul.